Welcome to the Guaranteed Channel. This is Coach D. And today we are going to discuss credit and credit scores, how to build credit, how to manage credit, what are the factors of a credit score, what is a credit score. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now, before I discuss what is a credit score, why is it important? Well, it's important because it affects our ability to purchase a home, maybe buy that new car. How about rent an apartment for you and your family? Or many other factors. It factors into our personal finance, into our health, mental health, right? The stress of not being able to get a home, the stress of not being able to afford payments on things that be due to higher interest. Okay, this is why credit is extremely important. So let's discuss what is a credit score. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau defines a credit score this way: a prediction of credit behavior. So they base it on how likely are you to pay back that loan on time. And this is based on information in your credit report or credit file. Another way I like to say it is that it's a numerical expression based on analysis of information in your credit file. It's also to represent what they would say credit worthiness. How worthy are you for someone to extend credit to you? Let's talk a little bit about some factors of the credit score. But before I jump into that, I think it's important to help you understand that there are two different credit score, or I should say two different credit scoring systems that we're going to run into, or that you as a consumer, we as consumers run into. That is your typical or more standard is FICO. Okay. FICO is the FICO or Fair Isaac Corporation. It was founded by Bill Fair and Earl Isaac in the 1950s. The FICO algorithm is the most used amongst lenders and creditors today. However, there's a new player, which is the Vantage scoring system. Now, Vantage was created by TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Those are the three major credit reporting agencies who came together in a joint venture to compete directly with FICO, and another way for them to gather more income from consumers directly, because now they could sell back our information back to us so they can make more money. Now, factors that affect the FICO score are typically 5 different factors. Those factors are payment history, credit utilization, types of credit, inquiries, and age of credit. And with the Vantage score, you have 6 different factors. Now, very similar to FICO, they're going to have your payment history, age, type of credit, inquiries, amount owed, and recent behavioral. So those are the 6 factors when it comes to the Vantage score. So again, on FICO, you have 5, and with Vantage, you have the 6 factors. Another aspect of credit, building credit is extremely important. Okay. So when we talk about building credit or getting credit, that's essentially what you're doing. In order to show lenders or potential creditors, you need to have a credit profile. So you're going to want to build that credit out. What types of credit should you be getting access to? How can you do that? One of the main things that we suggest to anyone, if you have access to an authorized user account through a family member, then get access to the card, especially if they have great history with no balance or extremely low balance. It's going to give you access to that. Not all authorized user accounts report, so make sure that it does. And you want to be careful, because once you take something on, it's just important to know that sometimes that account may not ever go away. You're stuck with it. Okay. So if you're going to do that, just keep in mind that if something were to happen, it will also affect you as that person and your credit if something were to go awry. It's also important to note that credit algorithms are constantly changing. The new FICO 10T takes into account authorized users or authorized user accounts, and it doesn't give you as good of a credit history or credit score. So it's going to look at different factors, especially if your credit is just built on authorized user accounts. then you're not going to have a good credit score at all. Another way to get started is to build or get access to a secured credit card. A secured credit card is backed by your own money. So if you have a $200 sitting in a savings account, you go to your bank or credit union and say, hey, I would like to get a credit card and I want to secure it with this $200. They're going to give you a credit card with a $200 limit backed by your own money. You're still going to pay it as a normal credit card, but it's going to be reporting to the 3 credit reporting agencies, which again is going to be TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Okay. That's another way to get started with building credit. Now, we do have one that we highly recommend, the Credit Builder Card, and there's some others. Put the link below for you. The nice thing about them is there's no inquiry to get started, and they report up to 6 times a month, so you can build it a whole lot faster than having to wait 30 to 60 days before something ever reports to your credit report. Okay. I do not recommend putting more than $200 in necessarily. Okay. It doesn't really help you. You want to just get started and get going, because the goal is to get you to an unsecured. Okay. Unsecured means they're not going to make you back it by anything. They're just going to give you access to a credit limit without it being backed by your own money. Okay. So that will be the goal, to do that. Also, there are other things like you can get a small personal loan. Maybe there's something that you need. Okay. And then you were going to get. So if you can get a small personal loan, maybe put some money towards it, they'd be willing to give you a loan for that. Or you can do things like Credit Strong or Self Lender. Again, we'll provide links for you as well, to where essentially a forced savings you're putting money into every month. And then at the end of that 12-month or 24-month, it's kind of like a CD, then you get that money back. Okay. And then it's being reported to the credit reporting agencies to help you build out credit. Okay. One of the important things with credit, their goal is to, and I need you to understand this, their goal is to catch things before it happens, so to speak. They want to know, is someone on their way to filing bankruptcy? Is someone on their way to missing a late payment? Are they in trouble? Okay. So when things happen like a 30-day late, it's going to affect you really hard, really fast. When your utilization jumps really fast, it's going to affect your scores. I mean, it could 100, 150, 200 points just because your utilization is high. Okay. So that's just something to really keep in mind about credit. They're looking at the immediate impact. That's why if you open up multiple loans and credit cards within a very short period of time, that's going to affect your scores much faster, or much more, I should say, because they're like, okay, is something going on? Has something happened? Why are they opening up so much credit? And so just keep that in mind when you're looking at credit. Okay. Now, it's important to manage credit responsibly. They don't want you to utilize the credit necessarily. Okay. That's why credit utilization is extremely important. Okay. So you might have access to $100,000, but they want you to manage that. And by manage that, they prefer you not use more than 10%. Okay. So meaning they would only want you to use up to 10,000 of the 100. So just because you have access to a $3,000 credit card limit, you don't want to utilize $3,000, because that is going to make your scores plummet. You want to manage it by saying, hey, I only need to use 300 and I take care of it. I make my payment and it's done. Okay. So that's just something to keep in mind. They're looking for the responsible. Okay. They want to know that you're making your payments on time. Preferably you want to make your payments ahead of time. Okay. You do not want to typically go over the 30 days, even though you may have a grace period. Think about this. A lot of people will make their payment and they're like, oh, I got up to 30 days after my payment due date. So if it's due on the 17th, if I make it by the 16th of the following month, they won't report it to the credit reporting agencies. Well, while that's true, your relationship with that lender is being affected because they know you were 29 days past due. It may not have gotten reported to where another lender may know, but they certainly know. And trying to get another loan through them is going to be extremely difficult because they know that you're constantly late, paying late fees and other things. And so that's something to keep in mind when you're trying to build relationships with lenders, creditors, credit unions, and such. Okay. So let's talk about how to improve a credit score. Now, improving a credit score, it depends on the situation you may find yourself in. Okay. You have some negative accounts on there like collections, charge-offs, of course, missed payments and such. Then you're going to want to look at your credit report and look to find the errors that may be on there. Okay. There are certain things that you can do. You're going to want to make sure that you address those right away. There is a difference between an assessment and an audit. The first thing you really need to do after you've assessed what's on there is audit your file. What do I mean by that? You need to audit your credit report to see how is every single trade line being affected based on the information. Okay. Remember, there's 5 or 6 factors. We're going to look at the FICO typically. So based on that, how is this trade line being affected by which factor? Okay. Am I getting more points based on this factor, or am I getting less points based on this factor? And so you're looking at those different factors and how it's affecting each trade line that's being reported on your file. And so it's not just a simple, oh, I have a negative, I'm going to dispute this because I don't believe it's being reported correctly. No, that could be the worst thing for you. It could get removed, and the next thing you know, your score dropped tremendously because you didn't realize that it was actually doing you more good than more harm. And so that's why you need to make sure you actually audit your credit reports. Okay. But again, improving your credit score, you want to make sure your utilization is low. Make sure you start making your payments on time. You don't want any recent late payments. You need to make sure you get caught up, make sure everything's being reported correctly. A lot of times consumers will make a late payment, or they may have a past due, and it's just constantly being reported late every month. And they don't even realize it's being reported that way because they're making a payment. So you want to make sure you do your due diligence in getting that information so that you can make sure that it's being reported correctly. Make sure you get your free annual credit report. We'll post a link in the description below as well. We also recommend that you have credit monitoring. Okay. So you want to get access to that. We'll also provide a link below so that you have the one that we would recommend for you as well. So let's talk about additional tips when it comes to credit score. First and foremost, I want to explain something real quick. When you're monitoring your Credit Karma, okay, while I appreciate them because they brought information to consumers, they are not a credit monitoring company. They are a marketing website or a marketing company. They market Vantage scores, and in return, they offer products and services to consumers that they can get approved for or purchase, and that's when they make their money. They get paid money from those that they are marketing to us when we get approved or even sometimes denied. Just by simply applying, they are getting paid. So it's just important to understand it's a marketing company, not a credit monitoring company. There's other benefits to credit monitoring that you can get. So that's why we highly recommend that. Okay. Now, additional things to keep in mind when it comes to credit as well is to monitor it, to make sure you're constantly checking it. A lot of people don't even pay attention. When you are aware of something and then you are keeping track of it, you're more likely to take care of it. Okay. So make sure that you monitor it and make sure that you're constantly aware of what's being reported, when it's being reported, and what has taken place. Also, reach out for help. Don't be ashamed of where you may be or what's going on. Make sure you reach out and research information. Try to find how you can better your situation. Okay. So that's why we are here to help in every single way. But those are some additional things that I always recommend to our clients and the people that we work with, because you want to make sure that you are keeping track of those things. So in conclusion, why is it important? Well, it is extremely important because credit affects so many different areas in the life of an individual, of a family, of a community. Okay. Once you have your personal credit in line, you can take advantage of so many different things. Instead of buying stuff with your credit, you can leverage your credit to start a business, to build wealth, and to do different things. But knowledge is often said knowledge is power. Okay. Once you understand and know that there are other things that you can do with it, then it opens the door. It opens the door for us as communities, as individuals, as families to again be able to grow and build and expand. And we want to be able to teach our children. We want to be able to pass correct things down to the generation below us so they don't have to deal with the stresses and the different anxieties and things that come with that, because we're educating them, because we're giving them the tools they need before they find themselves in the places we found ourselves in because we didn't know this information. So that's why it's extremely important to understand credit scores, how to build credit. If you would like any more information, please reach out to us. Drop a message below if you have any questions. We will be happy to help you. And as always, make sure you like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and leave a comment for us so that we know we are providing valuable information for you and so that we can continue to bring this information every single day. We appreciate you and thank you for joining us.